the most sacred of relationships, yet time and life make it fragile. Love, trust, respect, and desire, all elements of a successful marriage. Yet so many of us along the way forget. We lead busy lives. We go through changes, big and small. We build walls to protect ourselves. It does not have to be this way. There are clear and exciting ways to bring your marriage and life back on track. Welcome to the Couples Expert Podcast with Stuart Fensterheim.
Hello and welcome to the Couples Expert Podcast. This is Stuart Fensterheim, the Couples Expert, and we are here again this week. And I was reflecting on our guest last week who talked about mindfulness and the idea of being present both in your relationship with your partner and also with your children or family members or even friends. And one of the things that I've noticed lately are a lot of people asking an age-old question, which is, can my marriage be saved? My belief is every single marriage can be saved, but we have to identify, what does it mean to be saved? Does that mean that you just don't get divorced? Or does that mean you have a marriage that's significant and meaningful? Because just being married in and itself, in my opinion, is not good enough. We all need relationships that give us the joy of having a partner in our life, someone that has our back and that we know we can count on them. Without that, there is a despair that comes over you, a primal panic, you might say, in which the pain and anguish of feeling alone and empty in a marriage is so overwhelming that we'll do just about anything to solve the problem of feeling the desperation of not being able to reach that person in your life that you're married to. One of the most important messages I want to share with you is the answer to the basic question of the podcast, which is, can marriages be saved? And the answer is a definite yes. Marriages can be saved. The ones that aren't able to be saved are relationships in which one or both partners gives up and refuses to try. There are relationship injuries that can be so severe, such as a betrayal of trust or emotional injuries that are so deep that one or both partners may be unwilling to work on the relationship. But what we know, and there was recently a survey done by the American Association of Marriage and Family Therapists, and what the research said, that those couples that got involved with marriage counseling, where both people were committed to the process, up in about 90%, if not more, were successful. And about 97% said that they came away with some tools that they needed to address not just the current issue, but the past issues and also future issues. John Gottman, who I've talked about before, which is another attachment theorist, says that there are many couples that have been divorced and they end up remarrying their same partners that they divorced once they've gotten some help. And the reason for that is that we now have the knowledge and the ability to show you a roadmap, a clear method, a clear way of developing the kind of relationship that we all need. Now, does that mean that every couple who is considered divorced or is divorced can get back together? Of course not. But what it does say, that whether you're going to move on with your life or not, the key is to deal with the issues right now, today, and not get to that place where ending the marriage is considered an option, because both of you are going to work your tushy off. You're going to work to make this marriage the best marriage out there. And we know the divorce rates are very high. But one of the statistics that I know, that I've shared on a number of occasions, that is the saddest statistic, is that the average couple waits and spends about 6 years in a very unhappy relationship, hurting, not getting along, growing apart, and fighting before addressing the problems with a professional like myself. Imagine what would happen if you took the steps 6 years earlier. How much easier is the problem going to be to deal with? How much easier is it going to be to change the interpretation you may have about your partner and the belief that your partner makes you the priority in their life? I have case after case that I could share with you. I recall one couple who came in who hadn't talked to each other, literally, had not talked to each other in over a year. They basically were living separate lives. They were living a life of strangers, of roommates, and there was no passion, no intimacy. And they finally got sick and tired of being sick and tired, and they talked about ending the marriage. They said, we have nothing together. So they both came in to see me, and we talked for a great length about their past, their history, how they started, how things grew apart. And the issue that kept coming up for me is they really seemed that they liked each other. When they would talk about each other and their past and how they got together, there was a smile on their face. Their eyes woke up. I could see that the two of them truly cared about each other. So we began to talk about attachments and attachment theory and interpretations and triggers and the things that get in the way of two people really feeling important with one another, that really falls down to only just a couple of things. Do you feel that your partner is accessible to you? Do you acknowledge your partner? Do you share your vulnerabilities? And most people don't do those things. So what we began to do is work on a journey together of having them feeling emotionally safe in my office. And when they did that, they started opening up and they started talking about the things that they needed to talk about for years. The fortunate thing for this couple is they did have that basic liking of each other. They were really friends. They cared about their families. They had their children. There was a lot that they had in common, and there was a lot motivating them. And that motivation kept them plugging away at this for about 6 months. And by the time we were ready to stop, the two of them looked me in the eye and said, we really see that this has changed us to having a new relationship. We're open now. We're able to talk about things. And what they realized is all the pain and anguish that they had, the shame of it all, was that they waited so long. So what I urge all of you to think about is that a successful outcome of a counseling relationship, a counseling on your marriage, is really beginning to open yourself up, putting the walls down, and beginning to make your partner feel that they're the best asset you have in their life. You save your marriage every single day by what you do, by looking yourself in the mirror and saying, I'm going to be the best partner that my partner has ever had. I'm going to be the best spouse the best friend, the best of everything, and I'm going to do it for my family because my partner deserves someone in their life that is best for them. And that means dealing with hard things, difficult emotions, past injuries, and doing the things necessary. And one of the most important things is taking your small moments that you have and turn them into mountains, acknowledging your partner's efforts at your relationship, looking back at your lifetime with your partner and recognizing the things you love about them, and recognizing that what you want is to be someone to grow old with that person, to have your grandchildren come to visit, for you to be able to have a life with your partner that is about loving them, caring for them, and making the two of you the most important thing in your life. You know, one of the things that I often talk to couples about, and I recently had an experience in my own life when my dad passed away. When you have someone that passes away, sometimes there's a lot of regrets, things that went unsaid. I am pretty fortunate that he died when he turned 91. And what we had is we had 10 years after he had a quadruple bypass. And what that allowed me to do, because we had that scare, it allowed me to recognize that I need to say the things and not wait for another time. I need to tell him how much I love him. I need to talk with him about our past, because every family, there are issues that you have growing up. And we did that. We did that when he was going in for his bypass at the Cleveland Clinic. And that memory of me really taking a stand and saying, I'm going to talk with him. I'm going to tell him the stuff that I might say, well, some other day I will let him know. And about a week before he passed away, one of the things I did is I picked up the phone. It seemed silly at the time. I picked up the phone and said, Dad, I want you to know I've been thinking a lot about the conversations we had 10 years ago. And I want you to know that I feel so blessed that you're my dad. As I say that, I have chills running up and down my legs. Why I share that when we're talking about marriages is those are the kind of conversations all of you need to have with one another. You don't wait for another time or another opportunity, because doing that when it enters your head, at the moment you're thinking about your partner, texting them, picking up the phone and say, just thinking about you today and how lucky I am to be alive and lying in bed next to you. Those 10 or 20 seconds for a text can change the nature of your marriage and save your marriage one situation, one event, one moment, one opportunity at a time. The only failure in marriage is if you don't do the work. You don't have to give up on your relationship or settle for feeling lost or as if something is missing. You just need to know how to connect with your partner in a way that allows the two of you to feel loved and appreciated. But the problem is that many couples don't have the tools they need to navigate the ups and downs of a relationship without causing relationship injuries to one another. Yet they wonder what happened to the friendship that you used to share. How did it get from where it was in the beginning of the relationship to where you are now, feeling alone, disappointed, and hurt? and yet you just can't seem to move forward to be happy again. Thankfully, this problem can be fixed, and that's where the 2 days and 7 conversation Hold Me Tight workshop comes in. Just 2 days, you will understand what you and your partner need to have a relationship where both of you are on the same page, working together to have that close relationship you only once dreamed of. Check it out at www.thecouplesexperts.com. Your relationship deserves the two of you feeling that closeness you once had. Your marriage can be saved. It's not going to be quick. It's not going to be easy. But it is possible to overcome all these relationship injuries and get your relationship to a place where it might be even better than before things went awry. I have couples who've come in for injuries that they've experienced saying, we want to go back to the way it was. My response to most people is, no, you don't. Because if you go back to the way it was, you're going back to a relationship that's susceptible to the problem that we have here. You two want to create a relationship that you've never had before. A relationship in which the two of you, every single day, let each other know how you feel, and every single day feel the wonder that in this big, wide world, you found each other, and that the two of you have worked every single day to develop a love and a connection that most people only dream about. But the key here is you both have to want it. You both have to have the willingness to put in 150% of the work, regardless if your partner does it. Because you're not doing it for your partner, you're doing it for yourself. It can't be a one-sided deal, though. It has to be both of you doing that. Both of you putting in the work, being committed to yourself to create a marriage, a relationship that is the envy of most people. And what it's going to take to do that is sometimes a great deal of faith and forward thinking to be able to accomplish the savings of this marriage. You have to understand that it's difficult. It's a challenge. And it's not a linear process. It's not a quick fix. So many people come in and one of the questions they ask me, and they say, you're pretty expensive. How many sessions is this going to take? And my answer to them typically is the following. How much is it worth it to you? How long have you been in trouble? I don't know how long it's going to take. A lot of that depends on you. A lot of that depends on whether or not you're willing to commit to do the work and to understand that this challenge, that there's no other relationship more important. There's no other thing in your life that can bring you more joy than a close, connected relationship. You have to immerse yourself in this process and trust this journey. And that's tough for people because sometimes it doesn't look like it's taken us anywhere. And then all of a sudden, we've got nirvana. We have a belief in each other that says we're in this together. And usually what I find is people come and what they say to me is, I can't believe we did this. I didn't think we can accomplish as much as we did. What I say to you is make the choice to do the work and then follow through with it, not only every day, but every hour of the day, every minute of the day, every second of the day. If you do that, that's how you'll save your marriage. Another way is that you have to recognize some of the warning signs. The warning signs are there. Most people ignore them. Most people dig themselves a hole so deep that it's next to impossible to climb out. Don't wait those 2,000 plus days to get help. There are people all over the place that understand relationships, that are specialists in this. They understand attachment theory. They understand how to help people get connected again. Seek those people out, those professional relationship experts, and do the work necessary to save your relationship by finding someone that has committed their life to saving relationships. And here are some of the warning signs. As I go through these, I want you to think about your marriage and ask yourself whether or not this exists for you. So what are those warning signs? Has there been an increase in conflict in your relationship? Are you finding that the two of you are fighting most days? Are the interactions that you and your partner have feel so negative that it seems like you're caught in this vicious cycle of it happening over and over and over again? It's like you're having the same fight, but just for different reasons. Has the escalation of the arguing and the fighting left lots of unresolved problems, lots of things that are on the shelf that you can't talk about? And more importantly than the arguing and the fighting, is there a lack of repair? Do you feel alone? Do you feel unimportant? Do you feel unloved? And has the communication broken down to where there's such a withdrawal that the two of you are barely speaking? And has there been relationship injuries in the relationship that feels like betrayals or trust violations or things that you're just locked into and don't know how to resolve? If any of these things are present, you need to get some help. Agree that you both want to save the relationship. Sit down together at a time when you're both calm and willing to listen. Share with your partner your desire to save your marriage. It's often a really emotional and difficult conversation, but you have to be vulnerable with your partner. You have to share them and speak it out loud, the things that you've been keeping to yourself. Hearing your relationship is in trouble is not an easy thing to hear, but a necessary one. Don't look for blame or judgment. Remember last week we talked about mindfulness, about staying focused and not having all of these preconceived thoughts that enter your head. What we have to do is take blame and judgment out and begin to just hear your partner and what they're looking for. It's probably going to take more than one conversation. It may take both of you mulling it over and making some personal decisions about where you want to go with your marriage. You can't fix this alone. You both must agree that it's worth it and that it's what you both want. And let your partner know if they're talking about divorce, how that makes you feel, that it's the last thing you want, that you're willing to do whatever it takes. Don't let someone talk about ending your marriage and keeping silent. Make the commitment to do what you need. We talked earlier about going to seminars and counseling. Make a commitment to do that. Take a survey. There are surveys out there. I actually do one for some of the couples, which is a relationship survey that identifies all the areas in the relationship that may be struggling, and it actually gives advice and recommendations to counselors on how to help people. You can take a relationship survey like that, and when you do that, it will help you identify what are the healthy parts of the relationship and what are the parts that aren't working so well. Make a commitment to do what's needed. If you decide to go seek a counselor, Seek one that talks on the level of attachments and connection. It's not about problem solving. It's not about tools. It's about feeling important. It's about the two of you opening your mind and heart to your partner, to a process that will take you totally immersing yourself in this process to be successful. You have to be diligent. It's easy to slip back. But with the help of a professional, with the help of books and YouTube videos and all the things that are necessary, you can truly save this marriage. It can be the marriage you've always wanted. But you have to do something every day. From the moment you wake up until you go to bed at night, each hour of the day, whether you're together or not, you have to be working on your relationship. If you travel for business, you best keep in touch with your partner. Think about these things when you're shaving or applying your makeup. The question you should be asking yourself every morning is, what can I do today to make my marriage the best marriage out there? Don't let your job be more important than your marriage. Don't let the work get in the way of you having the kind of relationship you need. The energy that you put into being successful at work should be half of the energy that you put into being successful in your marriage. Don't let technology get in the way. Come home every day excited to see your partner and talk about your day. Approach your partner with conversation and loving and kind things that you can do every day over coffee and over breakfast, and use technology, texting, FaceTiming. There is really no excuse anymore that you can't have ongoing dialogues with your partner every single day. I see people in my office hour after hour after hour with only a few minutes in between. I probably communicate with my wife at least 6 times during the day. And I sit with couples talking about their pain and anguish. And I recognize that these couples don't do their part for keeping your marriage alive by letting your partner know that you're thinking about them every single day, most times during the day, even when you're at work. The last message I have for all of you is you have to celebrate your successes. Look back, reflect back over the weeks and months and years in your marriage, and begin to talk about all the things that are going right, much more than the things that are not. Everything that you do on a daily basis builds on the previous day. Because what you will need to do is, if your relationship that you've recognized has more negativity than positives, you need to double down on the positive interactions. You need to go overtime in finding opportunities to create experiences with your partner, building the kind of relationship that you need, so that when you reflect back, you can see that the past pains are much more in the past than in the present and in the future. You and your partner need to celebrate the changes you're making with one another, with a date, a romantic getaway. Do something special. Send the message that we are a team and we've done this together. It's really about making positive memories, positive experiences that will allow the two of you to feel so good and proud, full of love for each other, and a feeling of being that team that's in this together, in this world, with that one person that loves you more than anyone, and that the two of you are building a life that will last forever. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening. This episode has ended, but your journey continues. Head over to www.thecouplesexperts.com to access all the links and resources mentioned in this episode, as well as bonus content exclusive to podcast listeners. Enjoyed this episode? Why not hit subscribe now and never miss an episode?